So, what's up, you guys? I think I'm going to be talking about some stuff that I'm pretty bullish on. I want to be touching on the good stuff that's happening in the economy and the bad stuff that's happening in the economy, and why I'm pretty much bullish across the board, even on some of the bad stuff, I guess. But so let's get into it. So today, Trump called for the termination of Jerome Powell. Now, that is something he pretty much can't do. We can't legally fire the head of the head of the Federal Reserve. He can only nominate the chair of the Federal Reserve, but he is calling for it. And the reason why is because yesterday Jerome Powell came out and he said he wants to wait and see how Trump's tariff policy affects the economy and so on before he cuts rates. So it is a bit concerning the way Jerome Powell is thinking, because I guess you can say Trump lashed out on Powell today because of the European Central Bank cut interest rates again today for, like, I don't know, like the seventh time over the last, I don't know, year or whatever. Yeah, see, Trump says you should have lowered interest rates like the European Central Bank did long ago. So, I mean, yeah, that is good news across the board, because interest rates are being cut by other central banks is causing global M2 money supply around the world to start pumping, which is something that's good for us. It's good for crypto. It's good for Bitcoin. It's good for everybody, pretty much all around. Now, what Powell is scared of is stagflation. So it's the effect where there's a recession, job losses, right, and inflation. So a stagnant economy with inflation, with prices going up. That's something that's typically unique, that typically doesn't happen. You usually have one or the other. And when you have both together, it's a much more difficult situation to deal with. Something like that happened during the 70s, where it was like nonstop recession and nonstop inflation, and it was like out of control. So Powell is taking the stance that if there are some job losses and there's inflation, there's a lot of inflation, then he's not going to cut interest rates. He's going to just say, the hell with the job losses. If there's a lot of job losses and there's still a lot of inflation, Powell's going to say, hey, you know what? To hell with those job losses. We got to bring that inflation down. So it is that type of scenario where, they don't want something to happen like that happened in the 70s. So, other than that, yeah, I want you to, if you're not sure about this stuff, I have a detailed video and very, very cinematic and entertaining at the same time, called Stagflation versus Recession, Choose Wisely or Die. I made 2 years ago, so you can check it out. And I invited my homeboy, Billy from Jigsaw.
Go, Monkey Mike.
Anyways, you can check that in my video section. Well, other than that, I wanted to go over some of this economic data that has been happening over the last couple of months, whatever. So we've been seeing some very good numbers. I've been commenting on that quite often. Just last week, we had negative inflation month over month, and we had a decrease of the year over year inflation from 2.8% to 2.4%, and which is phenomenal, right? And then the next day, so that was CPI, Consumer Price Index. The next day, we had PPI come out. We had core PPI and PPI, Producer Price Index, come in at negative. So it was deflationary, which is an excellent, it's excellent. It's phenomenal. It's an excellent indicator on what's going to happen the next month over for inflation for the consumer. Because if there is savings for the producer, those savings gets passed on to the consumer. So we have that was phenomenal right there. So that indicates that the CPI reading in May for the month of April should be pretty good. We've had other data coming out. We've had, like export prices. There's basically plummeting demand, except for retail sales. Now, retail sales it was yesterday, right? So Wednesday came in better than expected. They were expecting 1.3, up much higher from 0.2, which basically was to show that people are scared and they're just buying things that they need, like, toilet paper and toothpaste and deodorant and things like that. So I mean, I'm actually one of those people, but I wasn't basing my spend off of tariff policy. It just happened to be that in early March, I found a Walgreens that was going out of business and they were offering, their stuff at 50% off. I was like, oh, deals. And I bought I'm all set, man. I bought a whole bunch of stuff, shampoo, bars of soap, toothpaste. I'm all set for the next 6 months to a year but that's besides the point. Other than that, people are not really spending on anything else, right? They're not spending on stupid shit. They just bought a whole bunch of stuff that they know they're going to need because they're scared they might lose their job. They're scared about an economic crash. So now when it comes to data that was released this morning, housing starts, new housing starts, so single family homes and so on, is significantly down. However, building permits are up, so better than expected, right? And better than prior, significantly higher than prior. And that is an indicator of future new housing starts that are going to, hit the record. Yeah, because I guess it just goes to show that building permits, people are getting their permits, but they're not starting yet because they're scared about what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, it makes sense. Now, other data, initial claims, job data, right? So initial claims is actually better than expected. So that is actually pretty good news, right? So less, the less job losses, the better. And continuing claims was a little bit worse than prior. But yeah, I mean, it's overall we got a very, very good economy. So I'm looking about everything that could happen between now and the next, less than 2 weeks now, right? Because we're at the 17th of April. So we do have other things that are happening, like shipping container ships are getting turned away. So what happens there, one of those shipping container ship has thousands of shipping containers, right? So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of shipping containers that are not getting delivered. So what happens there is, there's a supply chain breakdown. We have, the workers who unload those shipping containers, and then we have the truckers that ship those shipping containers and things like that. So, they ship all those goods. So when it comes to job losses, I mean, are we going to see job losses between, now and May 1st? I mean, personally, I doubt all that's going to come. That'll come starting in May. But my hope, and I hope for, I think all of us out there, I think everybody shares this hope, is that when Jerome Powell makes his decision about interest rates in beginning of May, he's going to look at the data of April, and he's going to say, April isn't that bad, right? And if inflation comes down again, everybody's going to be looking at him. It's going to be like all eyes are on him, especially Trump. He's going to be calling for those rates to come down, for him to cut those interest rates, right? And if he doesn't, it is possible that he doesn't, because he might want to see what type of effects the tariff policy has on the economy, and he might want to wait an extra month. Then we might be in for some trouble. And then when things go sour, of course, Trump is going to have his scapegoat. He's going to say, this guy did it, right? And I don't know if anybody out there, I don't know who's with me, whether or not you agree with Trump about what he's doing, his strategy, but I think we're all in agreement that the most logical course of action right now is to cut those interest rates. So fingers crossed that it happens in May. Other than that, regardless of what happens, this guy's chart, Colin Talks Crypto, I think she's pretty awesome. Go follow him on X. The global M2 is has been going up because this is a 100-day offset. And obviously this European Central Bank just cut rates again today. So we have money pumping, right? The money is starting to flow, even though it's not really happening, even though that easing hasn't happened yet in the United States. It's happening across other countries all over the world in different currencies. And according to this, if you move the global money supply over by 108 days, it sort of matches up with Bitcoin's price. So we are currently in this little window right here in the middle where it is, just trading. We're trading sideways for now. So regardless of what happens, we are going to have blast off, hopefully, right? Starting May 1st, more or less. There is a 20% deviation in this chart. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But now is the time to buy. Get in on all those buys if you can, because you're going to be wanting to sell as we start going up. So, yeah, I mean, it's looking like good times ahead. Hopefully, all the bad that might start happening in May is offset by the good that's going to be happening. Now, there could be other things going on. There could be deals coming out. I think what's going on right now, we're not hearing about any deals being made between countries yet because I guess Trump doesn't want to announce, a small group of them early. He wants to just wait to make deals with other countries because, he could say he could be talking to Japan and he could say well, these guys over there in Vietnam, they offered a really better, much better deal than you're offering, right? Then he goes over to Vietnam. He says, well, those guys over there in Japan, they offered a better deal. So it's like one of those things, right, where he's trying to negotiate. It's the art of the deal, right? It's what any good salesman would do, I would imagine, right? So, so we might see those deals come out. They might happen, hopefully soon, if not, in the next couple of weeks, the next few weeks. Maybe they'll happen before the FOMC meeting, and then we can get more good news so that a certain somebody can be enticed to lower those interest rates. But either way, I'm bullish across the board. I think we're going to have a very good year going forward. And I mean, I don't know. That's all we can talk about for now, I guess, in terms of what's going to happen. It's hard to speculate about what could happen in July when the 90-day period for those tariffs is up, because there could be a lot more happening, obviously in the next few weeks, to be honest. So, yeah, we never know. But I think it's going to be good in about a few weeks. So, fingers crossed, guys, and stick with me, man, because this is the time period when we see millionaires made.